All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Sales Vitamin Podcast, where every episode is going to help you with your professional sales development. And we have got a professional this morning, Tyler Kemp. He's the CEO, he's the founder of LeadRoll and Roll Social. He's built multiple seven-figure businesses, and he helps people in high-ticket sales. So all of the sales professionals listening today, you are going to get a ton of sales vitamins. And I'm excited to have Tyler on the show. Tyler, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, John. I am ready to go and dive into this today. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I am excited. I just from talking to you briefly, the energy, the passion that you have. I know from a sales standpoint myself, and that's half the battle is having that energy and that passion. And you've got it. You can just tell, and from your background and what you've done, kind of give the listeners what you're doing now, and kind of what's got you here, and that the kind of the backstory.
Yes. Okay. So I guess you could say that there's absolutely been a typical rags to riches story here, but in the most concise way I can put it, I mean, when I was 17 even, or 18, or in my early teens, and I'm in my 30s now. I mean,
You're old.
I was in debt. I was not a good student. I had, I mean, pretty rough family life, living in kind of the ghettos of California. And, over the course of time, made some decisions to transform my future. And I started my first company when I was 22. Nice. And it was in the real estate sector. Okay. And didn't really make much money, going to be honest with you, but there was a ton of learnings, right? It was like, okay, I want to do something. And I want to, I'm learning from all these gurus, and there's all this information. You're like, wow, they make it sound so easy. And you listen to them and you try what they say, sometimes only to find out, wow, that didn't actually move the needle for, I did exactly what they said. I even funnel hacked them.
Yeah.
But I'm poor. Okay. And it didn't, I had some very hard lessons I had to learn early on about what was legit in, in this spew of guru nonsense out there, and what needs to be discerned through. I went on eventually to take these learnings and went into the lending sector, where I worked with a single lender, and he was originating the loans. I was bringing in the business. Together, we were doing 120 million in loan volume year over year.
Wow.
And this guy was awesome. I mean, taking home 2.6 million taxable income year over year. And he, after that was done, I went and spoke itinerantly across the country, teaching sales professionals how to actually do stuff, in this kind of new world that we live in. Yeah. I was into remote sales long before it was cool. And then I went to be on the marketing advisory board of a $16 billion finance company. Kind of crazy. You just think, wow, how did that all happen? Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just one thing leads to another. And when you start generating snowball success, it grows and grows and grows. Went from there into, I left the enterprise world, went into the SaaS space, the software space, and helped a company grow from 60 grand a month to 200 grand a month in 8 months. Wow. 4x growth, which was awesome. And then I left to finally found LeadRoll.co, which is now a multi-million-dollar organization. I mean, we've got a team of 30 full-time folks right now and growing like crazy, where I would be so surprised if we didn't have 50 by the end of Q2. It's amazing what ends up happening. It's this exponential kind of growth where you hit certain milestones, and then we cracked the code on a couple things, and that is what really allowed us to take things further and faster. I brought on a great co-founder, a former upper management at Uber, my COO, and now we help high ticket sales teams scale. If they're stuck in six-figure land, we help them get to their first million in ARR. If they're at $1 million in ARR, we help them get to 5 million. If they're at 5 million, we help them get to 20 million. If they're at 20 million, we help them get to 50. That is our value proposition, and we do it through outbound sales. So we take the role of a sales development rep or sales development team, and we do that role, and we basically take a closer and we take their calendar and we light it up like a Christmas tree
Yeah.
with high ticket qualified appointments, and it's guaranteed. Anyone who works with us, they cannot lose. We put our money where our mouth is in terms of how many appointments we guarantee for them, the quality of the appointments, all of that, or else we work for free. So it's that's how we scale.
And these companies that come to you, whether it's an individual, large company, they come to you and say, hey, we're having trouble getting to that next level. What do you typically see from them from a sales standpoint? What's keeping them from getting to that next level? Where's that value that, hey, that LeadRoll, here's the value we're going to bring?
Yeah, it's a great question, John, because it's actually one of the questions we ask when we're qualifying them. So we always, if someone wants to talk to our team, they've got to fill out a quiz, and then they book a call with us, and we have a vetting process for folks that we work with. And that's one of the questions is we say, hey, what's your revenue goal in the next 6 to 12 months? Whether that's 5 million or some people it's just 1 million extra in AR in month annual revenue. And we say, okay, well, great. Well, what's stopping you from getting there on your own, right? Like without us. And the answers to that question tends to be pretty similar. So it's either the fact that they just don't know how to do it. I mean, I talked to someone the other day, and I don't do much of the selling myself. A lot of times these days, my sales team takes care of it.
Right.
But occasionally I will jump in and still close, keep on my toes so
Yeah.
I can close some deals. I don't get rusty. But, or if it's a big enough deal, I'll definitely close it. But someone the other day was telling me that they've tried everything. They've got cash, they've got capital. They're doing about 5 million a year, and they are just, they've tried email stuff, and they've tried funnels, and they've tried webinars, and they've tried, just other kinds of email marketing. And they've even done some scrappy stuff on LinkedIn. They've tried all this other stuff, and nothing works. And so they just don't know how to get there. They're like, man, I want to get there. And it's not a matter of passion. It's not a matter of hustle. It's a matter of the right ingredients in the right degree and in the right time, in the right sequence, right? Like what happens first and then second and then third. And so their problem tends to be outbound is so complex. Outbound, like, how do I solve this remote sales problem and land really important deals? And when I say high ticket, that can mean, $1,000 paid over 10 months to get a $10,000, that's our lowest really, someone who's got a 10K lifetime value of a client.
Yeah.
On average. Sometimes we'll make exceptions. Upwards of sometimes deals in the multiple 6 figures, right? Deals at 300,000 just for a single deal.
Right.
Oddly enough, sometimes those are the cheapest people. They come in, and they're not willing to invest. So they have this weird correlation in their mind that they can take shortcuts. So they come to us because they've tried all the shortcuts. They've tried the scrappy solutions out there. They've, tried to do some LinkedIn automation because that's cool. And then they've tried some, drip email stuff, whatever. And then they realize, okay, this is not doing what I want. And it's too much work to do it the right way. And they don't even know what the right way is.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense, John?
Yeah. No, that's amazing. You've got a new, let's just call it a process. I'll let you define it. And you call it the closure.
The closer system.
The closer system. Let's talk about that and how is that evolving and what's involved in that system?
Yeah. So, our sales process is a little bit unique because when we talk to a company, we start by getting clear on what needs to exist before we start selling them on our features and our benefits and all of that. Okay. And what needs to exist is our thesis. So the closer system is our thesis internally at LeadRoll, and it is the 6-step process that every business who wants to get involved in high ticket outbound sales, and I just say high ticket because look, if you can justify a sales team, then this process will work for you, right? Because if it's low ticket, you can't justify a sales team. You can't pay them cuts on the deal because there's just, $100. You can only slice
there's
that
no
so many
margin.
ways. No margin. You've got to be able to justify someone on the phone for 30 minutes or an hour and pay them commission and pay the people who got that deal. It's so hard to chase these deals. That's why it works for high ticket, because not enough money in low ticket for this.
Right.
You got to use ads and funnels for that. And so the closer system is our thesis. This is what you need to do. And the closer is an acronym. And every letter in closer stands for something else. And it's a different step in the process, and it is in order, right? So C stands for calculate the potential. I'll give you just a quick overview of the system.
Cool.
All right. So C stands for calculate the potential. What that means is that no company should ever invest in a marketing initiative or a sales initiative until they know their numbers backwards and forwards. They need to know their math, and they also need to know all of the little KPIs along the way, right? Like what element is going to get me my goal? They should take their goal and work backwards with the number to figure out how, what's the volume of what kind of thing I need to do based on proven metrics, instead of say, oh, my friend told me I need to do email or whatever. Okay, my friend said I need to do cold calls.
Right.
Or Facebook ads. And then they just do it, and then they're like, oh, that didn't work, right?
Yeah.
Like the plan needs to be based off of the goal and not the other way around. So, if we are working with a company, they need to make $1 million top line revenue for per year for every salesperson on their team. Then we can work that math to make it make sense. So you've got to do that. And it also comes down to 3 other things. One is your opportunity cost. How much time, how much money am I leaving on the table right now by not doing this correctly? All right. So if I'm a business owner,
right,
and I'm thinking about growth, I should know about what size is my addressable market out there. Okay. Yeah. Let's just say that I do a simple SEO search, and there are 10,000 people in the United States regularly searching for a solution like mine. Yeah. Then I can safely say, all right, that's 10,000 people in market.
Yeah.
Every month. Well, how many of those people am I getting in front of? How many of those exact people am I reaching out to and prospecting with a sniper rifle and not a shotgun? And, for most, the answer is 0. I'm not doing any of it. I'm not, some people are, okay, I'll reach out to maybe 20 people a day. Okay. Are you really though? Are you even really doing that? And, follow-up's not there. So you got to know what that opportunity cost is. However, whatever you're currently doing, divide it into this larger number, and however much those, if you're driving 10,000, let's just say you're driving, currently $1 million a year, and you're only reaching out to 50 of these. Well, wouldn't it stand to make sense that if you reached out to 10,000 of these instead of 50, you'd have a seriously strong multiple now for what you could make? That's your opportunity cost.
Right.
You got to know your probabilities of success if you're going to do some stuff. I'm going to try some marketing initiative here, and it's cheap. It's $2,000 maybe. And I'm going to work with RevBoss or some, company out there. And I know that the data, to get the correct data that you need for success in outbound, costs at least $4,000 a month, $3,000 to $4,000 minimum. You already know something's going wrong there, right? Yeah. So you've got to evaluate your probabilities of hitting success. And by the way, our service costs anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 a month, right? So it's expensive, but right. It's not but that money gets put back into their pocket guaranteed, right? It's crazy what happens when you don't cut corners,
Yeah.
right? So, that's who we're constantly in this battle against all the cheap ways to do things that don't really work. L stands for lead list development. So that is all about your lead list. Speaking of how much money it costs, right?
Yeah.
It's about getting so clear on your ideal profile. And there's really 3 tiers of lead list development. And by the way, John, let me know if I'm going too far in depth on this stuff.
No, this is great stuff because it's much more strategic than, hey, let's throw stuff against the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about real life money. I mean, I see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every month go through, transition hands here. Okay.
Yeah.
I know what works in this department. And this is it. This is it. So lead list development, getting so clear on your ideal customer profile, knowing how you're going to get in front of that person. So identify that prospect, and then how are you going to manage them through your pipeline? But there's really 3 ways that we as a company create lead lists. So the first is firmographic. All right. Firmographic leads are, all right, company size, 200 to 10,000. And they're the CEO is their title, and they live in Denver, whatever. Okay. These are all firmographic information. Company revenues doing XYZ amount. And that's how most people try to do outbound sales. And that's good. That's really powerful if you do it right. Even that, if you're going to LinkedIn Sales Navigator to get that information, you're going to be dealing with a 20 to 30% margin of error in that list. Guaranteed. I am like literally a Sales Navigator pro. Yeah. And there is no way that you can have the tightest filter possible. And for some reason that is literally beyond me, it still has gigantic margins of error in their lead lists. I don't know why. You can go to Zoom Info. You can go to a company like that. Had someone the other day, they charge $15,000 for initial portal access, $15,000 extra for enrichment access. And then you have to pay for the leads. Anything over 1,000 leads a month, you've got to pay for.
Wow.
In addition to all of this. And so it turns into hundreds of thousands for data.
Yeah.
And the data is good, but it's not as good as, let's just put it this way. Where we get our data, we have kind of really cool secretive cohorts of, very above board companies you would know, but we're under NDA. We can't tell you who they are.
Right.
But we're the kind of people who sell data to people like ZoomInfo and Clearbit. Okay. So they buy stuff at wholesale from people like us and our partners.
Gotcha.
Right? And so creme de la creme, top of the line information.
Yeah.
And the only reason we can even do what we do at such a low cost is because we have economies of scale and unique partnerships. So you've got to get your lead list right. So we target 3 ways. Firmographic. The second is intent. So I'm not talking about company like, Bomboro does intent. ZoomInfo now starts to mingle in intent, but that's IP-based intent. So what that does is they will take an IP address and they'll try to match it with a company at that location. Well, that doesn't work when everyone is remote.
Right.
Doesn't work. And also, it's not telling you who in that company is actually looking. You have to go and think, okay, someone at this company went and looked for something that I'm into. And maybe I can try to reach out to the CEO. And he's like, who the heck are you? I'm not looking for that. Okay. Yeah. If you're going to do intent, you need to know the exact person that is looking for that. The exact person. And I'll just give you an insight here. So let's just say I want to target, I'm not typically in B2C markets, but I'm just going to use this example. Zillow. Everyone knows Zillow.
Yeah.
Right? You're looking for a home, you go to Zillow. I know about 50%, or at least a really strong portion of all visitors on Zillow. Do you imagine that? By name. I know their email. I know their phone number because they went to my, imagine they're a competitor. My competitor's website. I know who they are because of, some big data shit that we do.
Right.
And, imagine giving that kind of a lead to a realtor to say, hey, you didn't have to buy this. That person didn't even fill out a form, and they're in your territory. And, how about I prospect that person first, get in front of them before you get Zillowed and you have to pay, however much for that lead.
Right.
Brokered among 12 different people. So we know that for B2B sectors and Zillow. I mean, we know it for Zillow and other sectors.
So part of the value that you actually create and offers, you're scrubbing that data, this data, whereas, and I'm just giving a hypothetical company trying to do it on their own, you're going to make 15 or 20 calls to find the decision maker. If you can find that decision maker, you're going to scrub that data and dial it in.
Yep. I mean, if you're trying to get in front of the CEO, and let's just say you are let's say you're in some kind of a B2B software, right? Or maybe we can take it even more local. Let's just say you're a managed service provider, because I was mentioning that earlier. You're a managed service provider, and you've got a decent sized deal. One deal, $50,000, $5,000 a month for a decent MSP to handle your voice over IP and stuff like that. I could tell you who all is looking for Ring Central out there, and take that data and match them against your firmographs. So say, okay, hey, I'm going to take who's in market, and then I'm going to match them. And you say you're only talking to CEO? Great. I'm going to find the CEO who's looking for Ring Central, and I'm going to do outbound to that person. So that's our second tier of lead list. Imagine how much easier that sale would be. Oh, wow. I was just looking for I was just looking for something like that, a voice over IP solution, and you're going to come consult for me. How awesome. So the third tier is identity resolution on your website. So because we have all of this big data stuff, we can also take folks on your website. And by the way, if we have personal emails, we can always match them with business emails. we can connect the dots between all these data points. If all I have is a LinkedIn profile, or if all I have is a couple little things here, I can connect the dots and resolve someone's identity based on a simple pixel. Their Google pixel, I can resolve their identity at about a 60-70% accuracy. All right. So, if they were on Facebook, same thing.
Yeah.
So if someone has decent amount of visitors on a website, let's say they got 1,000 visitors every month, that becomes our tier 1 prospect. So we can identify who they are. Typically only a small percentage of people end up working with you who visit your website, but we know who they are. And then we can prospect them. And then, imagine the efficacy of that. What better intent is there than that person?
Yeah.
And so we prospect all three. That's what I mean by lead list development. You need to have freaking amazing, expensive data that you don't cut corners on if you want to be ridiculously, wildly profitable in high ticket sales. You got the right data, you got the right lead list. When you didn't just pay a couple bucks for, and I'm not, you didn't just get a bunch of, emails from some list seller in the Philippines. Like, you got to do this right. You do it right, you are going to crush. The third ingredient in the closer system is omnichannel foundation. So this one is really critical. One means you got to be in several different places at once. So, we prospect on LinkedIn, email, and voicemails. Okay, so we hit 3 different channels in that regard. Maybe one day we'll be an SMS. There's just a lot of technical legal stuff to get through. And then the other thing you need to do is set up your outbound infrastructure so that you are prepared for outbound. So you can't just use Aweber, MailChimp, GetResponse, ActiveCampaign, Entreport, HubSpot, Salesforce, any of these to send outbound cold emails. You cannot do that. They have to opt in. These platforms are going to kick you off.
Right.
If you send a blast email to cold prospects, it violates CAN spam. What you can do is send a one-to-one email. So you have to be able to send a one-to-one email in bulk, not blast, sequentially within moderate limits. And not only that, you have to solve for the number one biggest problem in outbound, and that is your spam box. If your spam box is, if you do not solve for spam, 60% of your emails are automatically going to go to spam, and you can just slice the efficacy of your campaign in half. And it's a snowball effect. The more you're in spam, the more you get in spam.
Wow.
So you have to solve for this, and it's complicated. And the way that you solve for it is this. First, you have to establish a burner domain. Then you have to establish, so, if you've got LeadRoll.co, you got to buy LeadRoll.net. And then you've got to establish new emails for every one of your salespeople, only for outbound. That's all this email is for. And you got to set up all your backend, your Daymark, your Daycam, your SPF records on that domain. And then you have to do what I call a domain warm-up. Misconception here. People think, oh, warm-up means I'm going to send one email, then 5, then 10, then 15, then 20. That is not a warm-up. A warm-up means you have to have whatever your degree of outbound is. Let's just say I'm going to send 1,000 emails a month. I have to have had at least 1,000 back and forth positive conversations with people who are actively marking me as not spam in every kind of inbox. So each unique inbox has its own spam filter. So in measuring, so Outlook, Hotmail, GoDaddy, GMX, Gmail. They're all examples, and there's hundreds of these. So every one of them has their own spam monitoring and their own stuff. You've got to have conversations with these inbox to 50% conversations, 50% spam, and I'm 50% outbound. Sorry, and I'll tell you how we do it. Secret sauce here. I'm going to give it all to the marketing vitamin, sales vitamin podcast here.
There you go.
So what we do is we've established a fleet of emails, IP addressed across the country, in every mailbox provider you can think of. And we utilize this fleet of emails to positively engage with the inbox of every single salesperson on my team and every single client that we work for, right? So every single inbox for every single client. So we have to positively engage these with the fleet, and we always have at least 50% conversations back and forth. By doing this process and scaling it correctly, it's a warm-up in perpetuity. It means it never stops. By doing this, we're able to achieve a 0.05% spam rate across the board.
Wow, versus 60%.
60%.
I didn't realize spam was that high. Wow.
Yeah, it can be, and it can be worse than that.
Yeah.
You can be 100% spam. It just depends on your campaign. Some people are better than others, but it depends on how you send it and how fast you try to go right off the bat, and also what kind of warm up you've got.
Right.
You just don't warm up, you're done for. because that's what spammers do. They buy a domain, they send emails, and then it gets blocked. And they buy another one, they send emails, get blocked. You're gonna get blocked if you're not careful. And if you don't, you just use your normal domain, your normal email, you could run the risk of a blacklist, and you screw everything up for yourself. Now all your normal emails going to clients get blocked. I've had that happen to me before I learned all this stuff. And so that's your omnichannel foundation. You miss this, cut your campaign efficacy in half, and you burn more than half of your leads. All that work you did in your lead list, now half of them are automatically gone because they're not seeing your message. Doesn't matter. They don't know who the hell you are.
Right.
S, scripts and personalization. Big point here is how you structure your message, right? Obviously, we've done hundreds and hundreds of these. We've got hundreds of clients behind our belt, so we know how to craft an outbound message. We have, but you got to structure this with laser-like precision. You can't be spammy. A lot of misconceptions on how you build this. It's got to be 2 sentences long, or you need this or that. Nope, throw that stuff out the window most of the time. It's there are very specific stuff. A lot of it comes down to your, how much proof you're showing, a lot of other stuff. But
Yeah.
writing these correctly is huge. Also, you have to hand write the first line of every single email. Hand research. Imagine the difference of saying, "Oh, I was looking through LinkedIn and felt like connecting with you," or I mean, how many times do we get this? Of you came up on my profile. I figured we'd connect. I mean, God, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just this spam. No, you're not giving people a reason to take the action you want. It's
Yeah.
like, I came across X company merge field and thought, you're doing great stuff. Okay, look, that is not going to continue to work. If it even work, I mean, it doesn't hardly work right now. It works to some degree. You can get conversations, but the degree that you're missing is so much more than the degree that you're capturing with that
Yeah.
approach. Versus, John, I just listened to your podcast with Tyler. That closure system was really something. I'd like to grab 15 minutes of your time because I think your audience would really value hearing about this thing. Would you mind, giving me a call or something like that? Right. Or, some point of unique value that says, wow, this guy,
Yeah. Much warmer.
he took the time
Yeah.
to look me up. He knows what I am about. I thought it was really funny how you said this. He actually listened to my thing. I'm probably going to connect with you. I'm probably going to respond to your email.
Right.
So you've got to do that. We prospect 2,000 people a month per user seat, and the scripts and personalization, we hand research and hand write every single email and every single introduction on LinkedIn. All of that, real humans, can't be automated, must be done correctly.
Yeah.
Otherwise you miss. Execution process mapping comes down to action planning, lead chasing, role specialization. It's all about separating your closers from your SDRs. Who sets the appointments is different than who closes the deal. We come in, 5 SDRs can't produce the kind of results that we produce on one seat of LeadRoll. That's why a company would work with us. I mean, they're paying lots of SDRs to do the same stuff. If you are an SDR listening to this, you should probably come work for us. We'll show you where to be. Actually, if you're a closer too, you were a closer. My rep I brought on the other day, he closed $27,000 earnable commissions in his first month, and he'd never done much, like hardly done any sales before in his life. Definitely nothing like what we do. And so, we booked him with 50. He booked himself with 50 appointments with high ticket people with $300,000 LTVs each in his first month. Next month, 70.
Wow.
And then 70. And then, so that's what my salespeople do.
Yeah.
As long as they're good at closing, they make bank. But execution is everything, right? How you execute, the whole process needs to be controlled, needs to be decoupled from your closers as much as possible. And if you miss any points in your follow-up, you're done, right? You lose leads. Most companies are bleeding money because of a lack of good follow-up. And that's what execution is. It's doing it all the right way. Last, reporting and optimization, tracking your results. You need to know every single KPI. Who connected with me? Who responded via email? What are my percentages? What amount of these emails were positive, negative, or neutral? What is their sentiment in these replies? Who exactly do we need to follow up with? What has that follow-up been? I need to know all the information about these people. I need to know their email. I need to know their mobile number, not their company number. That's useless. I need to know as much data as I can possibly get about this person. I need to know, did they actually book an appointment with me? Did they actually show up for that appointment? Because we handle things all the way from ice cold in the ether to on the calendar. We take it all the way to that calendar. That's what we do. We handle all the responses, all the follow-up, all the everything for our clients, all of the lead chasing. I mean, we'll do it all up to the point where we are just booking appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment on the calendar. And everyone says, oh my God, you should charge by the lead because then you'd make so much money. And I'd be like, yeah, and then no one would be able to afford us. So, our rates are fixed. and it works. It just works. So, but anyways, reporting and optimization means your campaign might have there might be a possible future for that campaign that is 50% higher conversion than it currently is on the day that you start. And the only way that you get to that possible future is by optimizing and letting data lead your decision making. So you first have to have the data. Then when you have the data, you need to actively understand the data. So every single month, we actually are doing split tests. Our clients always know at what point they break even on working with us, where their goal is, and where we are in between, either below or above that goal line. And they always know the numbers 100% of the time. They always know the numbers because we report on them and we tell them, and they tell us when they make deals as much as possible. And we help them recognize their ROI, and we tell them if they're not profitable, right? I mean, they should know that information, and what agency does that, but they all should, right?
Yeah.
So we're optimizing, we're tweaking, we're actively split testing. We're not just setting it and forgetting it. That's not the way you can have success. That's why the $200 company is out there doing LinkedIn automation, and $500, that they're not moving the needle for you too. They're not optimizing. They're just setting you up in some automation thing, not doing any of this. And then it ends up just being a sunk cost and
Yeah.
burning otherwise great relationships. That is the closer system.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, there's a ton of AI, it seems, built into that. I mean, on the front end, where you're getting the leads, contacts, just filtering that data. Is your end goal at the organization is to get that appointment, and then the company that's working, that you're doing that for, they take it from there? I mean, is your goal appointment, set that appointment with that decision maker?
Yep. In fact, all of the outreach we're doing on behalf of the salesperson. So the prospect doesn't even know that we exist. So let's just say, John, that you were a sales guy and we were working on your account. We would be sending emails as John. We'd be sending LinkedIn stuff as John. And by the way, there's going to be a very bad day for a lot of people doing some black hat LinkedIn stuff eventually, right? There's going to be a bad day coming for those folks. Now, we have the most secure, above board way to do stuff on LinkedIn. And by the way, when that bad day happens, we're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
So, and we've got, options of what we do that are 100% LinkedIn compliant versus a lot of these folks that are just kind of like scraping stuff and doing things that, and they're not dotting their I's and crossing their T's. They don't have VPN logins. They don't have, so many security factors, cloud-based stuff, and they're going to get screwed, and they're going to all lose their LinkedIn accounts. It's horrible, not worth it. When that bad day happens, 90% of the cheapo companies out there are gone. They're gone.
Wow.
And nothing we do is going to be affected, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, that's cool. What's interesting is you've got all of this, it seems to be very high tech information. There's social media involved in it, and there's an aspect of that. But what do you tell the younger generation? Hey, here's the sales skills you need to develop. I know all the other stuff is great. All the AI is great. Social media is great. But even there's someone listening to this right now that's maybe thinking of getting into sales and transitioning. What are let's just call it the top 3 things that you would say, hey, work on these skills?
Yeah. So to be clear, I want to decouple outbound prospecting, which is a function of sales, but it's not selling itself. It is there's selling involved, but it's not the same as being on a call and collecting cash, right? That is what closers do.
Right.
Now, that is a very skill-based and a very structure-based thing. So everyone on my team, they go through a rigorous training. And we're even working on some training that we might sell at some point. We call the Master Closer Sales Process, which is going to be like a $10,000 program. And someone goes through that, and they're going to exit like a fucking lion.
Yeah.
Sorry for cursing there, but they are going to be, people. What I would say to folks is, number one, you have got to bridge the status delta period. You must bridge the status delta between you and your prospect. They need to know who the big fish is in this conversation. And if you're just humming and hawing and, okay, well, yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, maybe, oh, wow, yeah, that's really great, sir. Okay, if you are a little, can't say words on podcasts, but if
Yeah.
you are just a little fish, then you're gonna get slaughtered in sales. You
Yeah.
have got to develop a breastplate of iron. You have got to develop uh, the ability to walk in a room and people know you are the biggest badass in that
Yeah.
room. You are a hard ass,
Yeah.
right? You've got to be brutal, and you got to be able to walk away from
Yeah.
deals
Do
and
you think
say,
your business acumen that you've learned over the years has that played into you being so successful at sales just because you've brought that business acumen with you?
yeah, and dude, I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. When I was a kid, dude, I was wearing Velcro shoes that lit up and skipping around and my Pokemon shirt and, never quite fit and didn't do my hair. I was a nobody, man. A
Yeah.
nobody. I had nothing. I had no skills. I was celebrating my D- graduation of high school. Okay.
Yeah.
Like nothing. And I had to learn from being poor, really broke, and also learning from millionaires. I mean, the fact that I was able to get around millionaires and the true wealthy in and see how do they do things? How did
Yeah.
they, like, wow, oh, okay. I mean, and I'm gonna be honest, like we're in like acquisition mode. We want to go and we want to buy up a bunch of other companies, right? I mean, we want to start doing like $10 million deals, acquiring some stuff, and in order to do that kind of deal, like you got to be tough,
Yeah.
and you learn that over time. It is a learned skill, like a muscle.
Yeah.
So, don't be discouraged if you're listening to this and you're just like, I don't have that. I mean, you learn it. And most of sales comes back to preparation. The more prepared you are to handle the automatic defensive responses, hey man, yeah, I get it. Just tell me what you do. I just need to know the price. Okay. You gotta know how you're gonna handle that. Oh man, that looks really great. I think we're super interested. I'm just gonna go back and talk with my team, and and we'll keep in touch.
Right.
You gotta know how to handle that nonsense. Put a client in their place and be like, yeah, and tell them, hey, yeah, I'll totally get that. If you go back to your team, like, what are you gonna say? Like, what do you think they need to know about this product, or what do you think their hesitation would be when you talk to them about working with us, right?
Yeah.
Because they lie. Oh, well, my team is gonna think they're gonna wonder about this. They just
Yeah.
told you. They just told you their objection.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Like, and then you go back, you handle that. I mean, there's all of these weird tactical things in sales. So get good, become relentless, become utterly obsessed with sales skill. And I'm a family man. I have a newborn.
Yeah.
I adore my family. I do everything for my family. I don't sacrifice that for work.
Right.
And still, I'm relentlessly obsessed with the pursuit of helping people. Like, you
Yeah.
also have to have a moral imperative to sell, right? Someone comes to me, I have a moral imperative to sell them LeadRoll because I know all the other nonsense out there, and they're just as tired of not getting results as I am for them. Like, I'm tired of them not getting results also, and I want to guarantee them a certain measure of success, unless they have a complete dud product that I don't think, it's not going to work for them. Not going to work either way, even with us, right? You got a bad solution. It's not remarkable in any way. No one can really help you.
Yeah. What are some things, training that you do, sales training for your team? What are some things that you specifically do to train your sales team when they come on board with you so that they have that, you can sense it and see it and feel it in you, but that's years of experience doing it, living it, that business acumen. What are some of the things that you do for your team there that, that you would recommend to maybe some of the listeners that, hey, here's some things you need to do?
Yeah. First is you have to have context. So you have to have context around the entire sales process. And you have to you have to have, like I said, it comes down to preparation. So what I do when I get a new sales member. So first of all, if someone wants to join my team, they actually have to pay us to join. So they have to pay a $2,500 buy-in, 2,500 buy-in, just to become a commission-only sales rep on my team. All right. So they have skin in the game. And by the way, that's not just for fun or for show. Like, we execute the LeadRoll process for all of our salespeople, right? So
Right.
they're actually getting $10,000 training program, and they're getting this $7,000 to $10,000 execution in for them, done for them, the way that we do for our clients, so that they're, they have appointments for days, they just have to close.
Yeah.
And that's all they have to do is close, close, close. And the more you do, the more we pay more money to book them solid with appointments
Yeah.
once they establish that they can close. And again, someone closes 2 deals a month on my team, they're making 6 figures. That's, simple. So they are, so we do sales training videos. They go through, 30, however many more very detailed videos over and over and over again. We also give them sales scripts. So we have a gigantic sales script, and every step of the process. You think our closer system is robust? Our back end process on how to navigate the sale is super robust. It's, every portion, every question, laser precision. It's written out. If someone can read, then they can close on my team. And so we put them through that. We provide decks. So, sales pitch decks, going through all of the step-by-step process and making sure that they are thoroughly equipped to educate their prospects, how to pre-close, how to, does this make sense, man? Like, are you getting this? Can you see how if you would just do this, you would get this result? Can you see by having the proper lead list, you're no longer, you could start doing blank and you could stop losing blank.
Right.
Right. And so all of the right questions, how to handle every objection, how to get that first no out of the way. Right.
Yeah.
And keep moving on. We role play every morning. I don't actually, I've got a sales manager who was all promoted internally. I mean, all of our sales people are promoted, they close a bunch, they become managers, and then they make even more money. I mean, our sales managers can make like $30K a month just from helping their team close.
Wow.
Or more. I mean, that on the low end.
Yeah.
And not even doing any deals on their own. And so they are like, that's the future for folks. And then they do role plays, they role play objections, and we have a nighttime call. We've got, Friday sprints in the week strong, kind of little internal competitions, red team versus whatever team.
Yeah.
And winning team gets first pick of the litter of the new recruits and stuff like that. So we try to keep a really positive, competitive, fun work culture. And the people who don't perform, they just drop. I mean, they drop. They don't.
Yeah.
Bad people who don't close, don't have it in them. They don't have a little bit of that fire. They're people pleasers. They're not willing to learn. They decide to go on walks during the day and just kind of say, I just need some fresh air. And yet they're not closing any deals. They don't last very long.
Yeah. They self-select themselves out.
I mean, sales isn't for everybody. You've got to have a little bit of something. You have to have drive. If you have a drive to learn and fight, and you can get spit in the face over and over again, knowing that eventually someone's going to give you cash in your face instead of a big wall of snot,
Yeah.
then that's the kind of person that can do this. If you can knock on doors, dude, I wish more of my salespeople knocked on doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to knock on doors.
That's the best education there is wearing out your shoes and getting told no all day.
Yeah, man, just moving on. But what a waste of your time when you can do something like the way that we do it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 20 years ago, that was the way you did it. Now it's technology has improved that game.
If I wanted to farm a zip code, I could do that. Consumers, I know who they are. All of them. I know if they are like cats or dogs. I know what religion they are. Isn't that just disgusting?
It's amazing. The So one more question for you, but before we do the last question, and I ask every guest this question, before we get to that question, tell the listeners, the organizations, where's the best place to get in touch with you and your organization so that they can start reaping some of the rewards of this lead gen?
So, two ways. One, if you're someone who thinks that we can help your organization, and if you're a closer working for another company and you wish your company did what we do, please get us in touch with the decision maker over there. Let us, we would be happy to handle, we'll take 2 hours with them and go through everything that we went through today and then some, in order to make sure that, including math, we will calculate everything for your organization. And if we work for them on your account, your calendar is going to look different than it's ever looked before. So go to leadroll.co, fill out the quiz, get a 15-minute call out of the way, and then get us in touch with the decision maker. Number two, if you are someone who wants to work for us, man, we're always recruiting. I need killers, dude. I need killers on my team. I need folks who are willing to put in their time and to just crush. And they don't care how many people give them the bird. They just want to talk to people. And if I get them 50 appointments on their calendar, they're going to close 20 of them, right? Like that's the kind of person I want on my team. And I will train them and I will grill them, and we will refine them into a sales animal. It's a $2,500 buy-in to join our team. But dude, the value is ridiculous. We have never seen the like of the kind of stuff we do. And we take the learnings from people like Grant Cardone and Nick Cosman and all these other, sweet dudes out there, and have assimilated information into something that is more actionable than any other sales program I've ever seen. All that stuff, a lot of that is fluff and rah stuff. We talk tactics, man, details and tactics. And then reach out to me on LinkedIn or email me, right? I mean, find us, go to leadroll.co, email us, just say, look, I'm interested in joining your sales team. Who can I talk to, right? We'll get you in touch with somebody, maybe even myself, and make sure that there's some kind of a good fit there. That's the big takeaway. Whether or not you ever end up working with us, take what you've learned today and please try to action it, because look, if you do, get rid of that old spammy stuff, stop cutting corners, stop taking shortcuts in your sales, and be committed to doing it the right way, right? Someone said to me once, take the long road. It's faster. And that is the best advice I can give you today.
Awesome. So all you listeners, get to that website, get in touch with him, and start your sales professional career off to on a rocket ship here. He's been there and done that. Last question for you. And you kind of answered it there at the end, but I'll let you kind of recap it if you want to. If you had one sales vitamin to give a sales professional or an organization today, what's that? You only got one sales vitamin to give them. What's the one sales vitamin you would leave with the listeners today?
My one sales vitamin for you, if you're listening to this, is be a relentless asshole. Look, cash is for closers. I'm like a nice guy. You talk to my wife. Sometimes she thinks I'm like 3 years old, by the way that I act around my wife. But when you are in the closing table, you have to have the biggest chest in the room. You have got to be so damn hard that somebody talking to you is intimidated enough. And I'm not saying you have to go intimidate. I'm not talking about bullying. Okay. There's a big difference between being a bully and being someone who knows their shit and is not going to be pushed around. Okay. Right. You have to stand in the gap between you and your prospect, and your product and your prospect. You have to stand in that gap. And sometimes these folks are literally, most consumers are stuck. They're paralyzed with indecision. They're afraid to spend their money. Fear is just riddled through their body, and they don't know how to even make this transaction. You've got to get behind them, grab them by the hand and say, we're coming out of this. Okay. You got to say, no, man, you need this. And don't be afraid to get told no over and over and over. And if you are not getting told no, if you give up on that first no, you should quit right now. You need to literally push beyond the first couple no's, because that's just fear. And in order to truly help people, you've got to make it your moral imperative to sell. Make it your moral imperative to sell. Sell ethically. Sell honestly and authentically. And if you do, and you start selling with transformation instead of manipulation, stop listening to folks telling you to sniff boom boom and mirror people, and start listening to people who are telling you to be authentic, but control that conversation. That is going to get you to places you've never been before in your sales career.
All right. Excellent advice. That's Tyler Kemp. He's the CEO, the founder of LeadRoll and Roll Social. Outbound sales expertise. They are dialed in. They will help you get appointments. You need to get to the website, talk to Tyler. Man, it's been awesome talking to you today. Just a ton of information, a year's worth of some sales vitamins for some people listening here today. I think whether they do nothing, but if they just took one or two of the things you talked about and worked on that, I think they're going to be better off and grateful. I'm thankful you spent some time today with us.
Absolutely, John. Pleasure to be here. We don't always. The reason I'm here is because this is my way of helping your audience and you guys get to that next level. It literally motivates me, and that's why I do this, man. Like, I love salespeople, and I hope you found it very valuable. And I know it was worth my time. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on today, my man.
Thank you.